Food insecurity is a much bigger issue in the North Dallas area than many of us realize. On a recent episode of The Good Complex, we talked with Tricia Cunningham, President and CEO of the North Texas Food Bank, about this issue that is largely hidden to many of us. I was shocked to discover how big the problem of food insecurity really is.
For a lot of people, I think a kind of a hidden issue. Hunger, food insecurity, especially in a place like North Texas, you alluded to that earlier, which is a, fairly affluent part of the country and part of our world. So talk to us about, I know when I look at the statistics, it's pretty shocking when like with child hunger and things like that in our own communities. Talk about the need and the prevalence of it a little bit.
So if you look at the 13 counties that we serve, we are one of 200 food banks in the Feeding America network. And so we have a defined service area. Every zip code in the U.S. is covered by a Feeding America food bank.
Okay.
So we span the nation. But if you look at our 13 counties, we have the fifth highest number of people in our 13 counties right here in North Texas that are food insecure, which means that they just regularly don't know if they're going to have the amount of food that they need for their families. We have the fifth highest out of the entire country.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And for children, we have the fourth highest. We have a higher number of children in need. So that's out of 200 food bank service areas, fifth highest overall number of people, fourth highest number of children. And to me, that's unacceptable. You talked about North Texas being affluent and all these things that we are, but that's where I get back to this hidden hunger issue. Most of the people that we serve are working. They're the working poor. It could be someone that's serving you at a restaurant. It could be someone that's checking you out at the grocery store. I have a couple of examples of folks that are taking advantage of the local goods center. And so we've got a couple of women that go there. They get food for their families, Claudia and Rosalind. Claudia, has a husband and 3 children at home. She's taking English lessons, but she goes there and gets access to food and also goes to some of the cooking classes there. And she said if it weren't for that food, their family would have to go without. And then Rosalind, her husband works, her son works, he's 20 years old and also going to college, and then has another older child at home, and said it's that food that allows them to offset some of the other expenses so that their son can go to college. I mean, they have 2 people working in the household, and they still can't make ends meet. And so that's what we're seeing right now. So during the pandemic, we had about 40% of those that we served had never needed charitable food assistance before, because we had so many working families that were making it from week to week. But studies have shown that the majority of families cannot withstand more than a $400 unexpected impact to their monthly budget without going into crisis mode. We saw that lived out during the pandemic. Whenever you saw those long lines of cars that were happening, I mean, they couldn't go to their local pantries. It wasn't safe to do that. Whenever you saw those long lines, there were so many people that didn't know where to go get help. And so then we were able to connect them back to their local community pantries. That's why you're not seeing the long lines anymore. But now you fast forward to where we have been over the last 4 months. We've served at higher levels than we even did during the pandemic. And that's because if you look at the cost of food in the grocery store right now, it's gone up. Look at the cost of gasoline and transportation. Look at the cost of rent. Most families, half of their income is spent on their rent and transportation. So as that has gone up and you start seeing that shift into some of the other areas where they had disposable income, that means there's less to buy food and to buy the things that their family needs just from a basic necessity standpoint. So that doesn't even mean, electricity and all the other things that we know that are big expenses for families. So by coming to a local food pantry, they're able to offset some of those costs because their income isn't going up as high as inflation has increased the past few months.
It was so helpful to hear Tricia Cunningham's perspective. In the full conversation, she also outlines ways that we can all be part of the solution to the problem of food insecurity. She also tells us where we can turn if we happen to be struggling right now. Now, to hear the full conversation, check out the link.